The last 27 days, I've spent around $15,400 on paid inbound advertising for my company. And the reason I'm able to do this is I built a self-liquidation ad system. That's what allows me to get over a 5x return on all cash I spend on Facebook inside of my company. And I'm going to be unbelievably transparent. If I saw this video when I was starting out in my agency, I would have progressed 10x as fast as I actually did. And the system is not sexy. I'm going to be showing you equations, systems thinking, diagrams backing everything up I'm going to teach you. But if you stay for the video, you're going to make a crap ton of money with your agency. So let's get into things. Just one quick thing, I put all the myros from all of my YouTube videos, every diagram I ever use in my videos, into the school community in the description. It's completely free. You don't have to pay me for anything at all. Get all the resources. Let's get in the video now. If you don't know me, I'm Joe. I've scaled my agency to multiple six figures. I've also helped people here like Milosh, who's at 40 grand a month at 18 years old, using this exact system I'm going to teach you. And also Facundo, who spent $236 on Facebook and made 6K from a client within 90 days. So I'm going to be walking you through everything one by one. Firstly, the self-liquidation ad system, then AOV versus LTV testing, my story, exactly how I built this, the two ratios you need to know, and also how to use this for your agency clients. So you're probably wondering, what the hell is self-liquidation? What does it do? What does it achieve? What self-liquidation is a type of funnel that allows you to exponentially scale a business through nearly infinite money system. That might sound absolutely insane, but I'm just going to walk you through how this works, because when a great paid ad system is done correctly using the systems in this video, you're going to understand the skill set and the required math in order to invest $500 in ads and make back $2,500 per client that you sign. As an example, the core of the system here, so you actually understand how it works, is you spend less money to acquire a client upfront than what you make from a customer. So the upfront cash you make is more than what you pay Facebook to get it. This is extremely important because many businesses and many agencies specifically break even on the first month of ad spend, or whatever it takes to acquire a client. They're not even making that money the first month, and it's month 2, month 3, month 4 that they're actually making some money from that specific client. I'm going to show you the calculations, how you can implement this into your agency to get that money up front and get a massive return on your ad spend for every single dollar you spend on Facebook, because I've done it many, many, many times. Just so you know how the system has worked for me personally, when I first started to run inbound ads for my agency, this is not for clients, done that tons, but when I'm running it for myself, for my own agency, getting clients from inbound ads, I started about 40 bucks Canadian a day for real estate agents. Isn't a lot of money. It's a big difference from what I'm spending, like 15K on Facebook, as you saw above. And with that 40 bucks a day, I was cash flow positive. That means is I'd spend $300 to $500 to acquire one client at a $2,000 setup fee on average. That's what was happening for me. So what that allowed me to do in my business is take that 1,600 bucks that came from that client and just reinvest it back into more advertising. Because once you have a client that you're making more money off than what you acquired it for, this is an infinite money system that you can use to keep doing the same thing as much as you want until it breaks. So this is the whole diagram you need to know in terms of this system, and then we can get into the actual numbers of what it's going to look like for you. The first thing is you just spend some money on ads. So you put some money into Facebook, you create great ads, you create a lead form, you get the phone numbers and the email, you call them up and book yourself an appointment for your own agency. So you get leads, and then you get sales after they book an appointment. After that, 20%, 15%, 10%, depending on close rate, are going to turn into a client. And then when you get that client, you have that spare 1,600, as the example I just used, and you reinvest it straight back into your ad spend. And from there, you keep doing that over and over and over and over until you're spending 16K a month like we're doing currently. There's two concepts that are unbelievably key when you're thinking about this system. And we've just covered that if you make more money per customer than what you acquired it for, you make money. This is very, very simple. What you also need to do, though, is figure out the calculations for your own business that you'll actually profit that month from each customer that you'll sign. There's two concepts here that you need to understand if you're going to run any form of advertising on Facebook. That's the basis of this whole system. The first concept is called AOV. It stands for average order value. This is by far the most important metric that you need to calculate in order to run a self-liquidating system. What it is simply the average revenue you collect from signing a client on a sales call. Okay, that's all it is. We need the average amount a client pays per sales call that is closed on that call. So as an example, this is the equation you can use to calculate this exact thing. Let's say you made 15K that month with an agency. You signed, say, 15 clients at $1,000 setup fee. That would mean your average order value, signing 15 clients and you made 15K, is 1,000 because it equals to 1,000. That's a simplified example. And if you calculate your own numbers here, you're going to find that it's going to be extremely different than that. But this is a number you need to know, okay? And this number determines how much you can spend on ads to acquire a customer and still make money from the customer coming in. Some agencies, like I said earlier, spend $1,000 and they acquire the client for $500, so they lose $500 the first month. Then they'll maybe make some second month, third month, fourth month. What we want to aim to do is make a 2x, 3x, 4x, 5x on the upfront price that month per client that comes in. That is a game changer for your business because all that extra cash, as we covered in the diagram, gets reinvested back into the paid ads. So average order value is extremely important. And you can also do the same thing. This is also what I do in my company, is calculate how the average order value changes when you change offers. You can hopefully get a higher order value on average for each client that you sign. And if you don't, that means that offer did not work. If everybody's going back to the 1,000 setup fee because you negotiate with them on a payment plan or something like that, then you might want to work on your closing ability and say, how can I actually get that AOV higher? How can I actually make sure I'm collecting more money on that sales call up front? And the way you do that is just say, on this offer, I made this much this month, as an example, divided by number of clients signed on that offer. And this is your new offer AOV. This is extremely important to calculate because you can have a new offer you want to test that goes extremely horrible, but you don't calculate this AOV, so you don't know how bad it's going. You have no idea. You're like, oh, I think it's working, but if you don't have the numbers for it, then you know nothing. This is extremely important to know because now we know how much we can spend on ads in order to acquire a customer and still profit from it. The second ratio we need to know before getting into the really good stuff on practically running the system is lifetime value. It's also called LTV. This is the average each customer spends with your agency over the period they stay with you. So, if we're using an example for this, we have a $1,000 monthly retainer for our agency. Let's say each client on average stays for 6 months. Okay, so we have 5 clients paying $1,000, average it out, they're staying for 6 months on average, and they might churn, they might get booked up, whatever it is, that means the lifetime value per client is $6,000. This is super crucial because now you know, okay, if my advertising costs to acquire that client are $1,000, that means I break even on whatever I pay Facebook that month. So we're not making money this month with Facebook. We're going to make money second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. So that's how you can tell if we're generally profitable or not as an agency. Now we have AOV wrapping it up and we have LTV. AOV is what they pay up front. LTV is what they pay over time. The last concept you need to know to run this system is cost per acquisition, which is also called CAC. It simply means how much ad spend does it take on average to acquire a customer. That's what we're talking about on how much do we spend on Facebook to get one customer. So this is going to look something like this if you're running inbound ads. We have a cost per lead of $15 on our ads. We get a cost per appointment of $45. That means we have a 33% conversion rate from a lead to an appointment, then 20% of those appointments convert into clients. That means we have a $225 cost per acquisition on this specific ad. That's our number going forward. Okay. Now with all of these concepts covered, we can get into the really good stuff of the golden ratios on how to actually exponentially scale and print money with the agency. Ratio number 1 is LTV compared to cost per acquisition. If this ratio is above 1-to-1, you're making money from each customer you acquire. So it just factually means if you get them on for $1,001 versus acquiring for $1,000, you're making money. Even if this ratio is above 1-to-1, this isn't self-liquidating yet. Ratio number 2 is what we really need. AOV, like we talked about, how much are customers paying on the sales call, to cost per acquisition. So if you have a 1-to-1 here on a ratio, you have a self-liquidating system. This is fantastic. Okay, so you at least break even on the acquisition of a customer, and the rest is whatever they pay you in the future. It's just pure profit. And that's great because day one, they are paying for their own advertising costs to come onto the program or the agency. So with us working with local businesses, you can absolutely get this ratio to 1-2, 1-4, 1-5, and above. So that's perfect. If we're making a 1-2, so let's say we pay $1,000 to Facebook to acquire this person, and then they pay us $2K on a sales call. This is great. It's 1-2. We're doubling the money up front, and whatever money after that comes in is just bonus on top of that. If you have this, then what that means is you're profiting $1,000 after this because you paid Facebook $1,000, they signed for $2K. With this $1,000, you can then reinvest that back into the business. And since you have this going on, where it's 1-2 the first month, you basically throw the ad spend back to Facebook every single time you sign a client. And I know what you're going to say, Joe, I have expenses to pay. It's my agency. I want to make money. If you keep your expenses minimal in your agency and you say, I'm going to take this percent off of every single client I sign from my paid advertising, hopefully most of it, so you can pay yourself a bit less, but then in 6 months, your business is going to be at $100K a month instead of 20. Throw that all back into Facebook. Because you have, again, upfront money at 2x on any money you pay Facebook. If that client is on a retainer or even on a performance offer where they're paying you monthly on performance as well, this ratio might go to 1-10, right? It's just the upfront here we're looking at. So I work with agency owners in the car detailing niche. As an example, I gave you the Facundo example right here. But with this example, he spends $236 currently to acquire a client on a $2,000 a month retainer, which is insane. This is what I want for you too. You want a system where they go on the sales call and they pay off what you spent for them to get on the system upfront and profit off it. Okay? So you're probably asking, Joe, how do I build the system? How do I test for the system? How do I get everything up and running? This is very, very helpful right here. I'm going to show you in a second. I'm just going to give you a metrics dashboard in terms of everything you should look at, everything you should track with this system, and I'm going to give it to you for free. But in order to improve any system rapidly that we set out to achieve in an agency, we need to break the agency down, or the specific system within the agency, into first principles. What that means is all the specific parts need to be isolated. We need to say, this lead goes here, then the lead. There's a 20% chance that they're going to turn into this. Okay, then they go on a sales call, and there's a 20% here. What factors influence each stage in this lead going to the next stage? This is first principles thinking, and I'm going to break it down for you exactly what you should look at. After breaking a system down to first principles, we need to run tests to improve the constraints of the system that are limiting the whole thing. One of my favorite concepts in business fundamentally ever is something called the theory of constraints. Theory of constraints means a system will only grow to its point of biggest constraint. I always use this example. I love this example. You have a pipe, and this is all the water going through the pipe. If you have a place of the pipe that is clogged by this thing right here, only the water right here in this little space is going through, which means 90% of the flow through the pipe is being limited by this one spot. That's what I mean by the biggest constraint is the thing holding the thing back. And you might have a constraint here too, but it's small, so you're still getting all this water here. You might have a constraint here, but it's like 10% of the constraint. We need the biggest constraints removed at once in order to discover what is actually happening, how to maximally get as much results from the system as possible. The first thing you need to do is define with metrics every single step from a customer, seeing an ad and then leading up to a sale. Again, it's the pipe. Our whole system is a pipe. There are blockages in the pipe, and you need to track with metrics to alleviate those blocks within pipes. So what I'm going to give you here is something I've used in a YouTube video before, but it's very congruent to this whole paid ad system because I'm going to automatically calculate your metrics for you. You need to achieve in order to make money the first month. So firstly, let's start with the green parts of this. So just so you know how to use this, if a cell is highlighted in transparent green, like these here, this here, this here, that means you can actually manually input the metrics. So I'll give you an example. You can edit this and you can put your goal. Let's say we want to make 10K a month. Let's say our average order value per client, we just talked about earlier, what's the average amount each client pays us on the sales call? Let's say it's $2,000. This would mean fundamentally we need 5 clients a month, and we also need to calculate show rate, and we need to calculate close rate. So let's say we have a 15% close rate on shows. Let's say we have a 66.7% show rate. Let's say that is all calculated. You can edit the green on what your actual metrics are. What I really want to stress to you here is this over here. This is congruent with our paid ad system in general. I'm going to zoom in for a second. For ads, we're looking at a few very important metrics that are going to change everything for you if you're not tracking this already. You can do this for your clients. You can do this for yourself. You need a cost per lead. Okay, so we get an email and a phone number interested in an offer. What is the cost to do that? Okay, then after we call them up, pitching them the offer to go to a sales call, or after my setter calls them up, after we send email messages, after we send SMS messages, we go through the whole nurturing process to book a call, what percent of those people are actually booking a damn appointment? I'm giving an example here for you. You can edit this with your actual metrics if you like. We can say 25 out of 50 of them are booking an appointment. So that's about 50%. Okay, so we're doing kind of a low ball here. It's like 50%, not too bad. So what that means is we're paying $14.6 to Facebook per appointment booked on the calendar. Okay, and then that takes into account the show rate and all that stuff. Then what this calculator is going to do is tell you how much monthly ad spend is required to hit the goal that we just set out to achieve at the top, right? So then we have a total ad spend per client. So basically this is the CAC, the cost of acquisition for a client is $146. So I'm giving you an example here of something that would be pretty damn decent for an agency owner, how to achieve a goal. But these are the metrics you need to track, right? So we have a cost per lead. How many of those are turned into appointments? Literally, what's a percentage point? You need all of this in percentage points. You need to say, how much does a client actually cost me right now? How much ad spend do I need a month to get the desired amount of clients? How much is the client's average order value? Okay, how many of those do I need? This is how you break something down into first principles and stages, right? Because like the pipe example, we have a pipe here, water's going through here. The stages are measured by percentage points and metrics, okay? So we have a metric for this. Let's say this is lead. Let's say this is appointment. Let's say this is show. Let's say this is sales call. Let's say this is onboarding call. This is close. This is Facebook that comes before a lead. We need percentage points off of every single thing. This is what I do in my business. We have like 50 spreadsheets going through this stuff. It's insane. But that's how you actually measure if something is working or not. And it is extremely important to have a self-liquidating funnel in this case and cover the ad spend for the client the first month. Because there are businesses and agencies who are spending thousands of dollars to acquire a client and they only make money off of 3 months. If you're not getting that money paid back to you and more that first month as an agency owner, there's something tragically wrong with the advertising you're doing. There's something tragically wrong with the offer. There's something tragically wrong with, let's say, the sales funnel or the lead form you're using. And you need to track that and get that sorted with the metrics you are tracking with every single thing you do. Okay, now let's go into how to use this liquidation funnel on the agency level and then the client level, because you can use this actually for your clients as well. And that's how you get unbelievable returns for your clients. So it's essential for both of these. Let's talk about your own agency real quick, because we've talked about the metrics you need to track, the concepts you need to understand to do this. On a general level, you can grow an agency to multiple 6 figures from cold outreach alone, and it's done all the time. I completely see that. But once you're at 3 to 6K a month and you want to scale, paid advertising becomes an unbelievably high leverage next step. It's just a logical next step. I'm going to explain why. What cold outreach does is have a massive volume cap that's dependent on individuals' time. Okay, so let's say we're doing a cold calling team, which I've hired as well before. Let's say you have 3 to 4 of them. Each one of them are going to be texting you for sick days. Each one of them are going to be calling an hour and a half a day. Then, I had something I had to do, so I'm going to do 150 instead of 200. Okay, the fundamental idea is that it's time-based. They have to sit down at a computer and call for 2 hours. So what paid advertising does is switches over from time to capital. And time is one of those things that as a founder of a business, you need to be very protective of your time. And you need to be focusing on the highest leverage things. How we categorize high leverage things is getting more out for what you put in. as a founder. So if I think to myself, do I get more out from hiring a cold calling team or running some ads? I'm going to have to deal with reoccurring time of a cold calling team for 10 hours a week. Okay, ads I record every 2 weeks and it takes me 30 minutes. And all I spend is the capital. That's why we're going to shift towards spending capital, even though you're probably throwing objections in your head, which I did when I started, of, oh, the risk, how do I know I'm going to acquire a client? How do I know XYZ thing? It's so scary to do. I'm so risk averse. What you need to do is get that out of your head. Because I'll rant for a second because this is unrelated. You need to get out of your head on your risk tolerance right now. Because you expect, if you start at $30 a day on Facebook, you want to be a millionaire, but you're afraid of spending $30 a day as a test to run in your business because this business is the only thing that's going to make you a millionaire. How much do you want it? If you're not willing to throw $30 aside, I don't know your financial situation, but if you're watching this video, get a few clients in cold outreach and then switch over to paid ads and do it as fast as you possibly can when you can afford it and when your close rate's good. If you can spend money in ads when you're at $40,000 a month and your expenses are minimal and you purposefully make your expenses minimal and you throw that money back into the business, you're going to exponentially grow the business. But so many people don't do it because their risk tolerance is, oh my God, I don't want to spend money on my agency, but that's my number one goal in life is to run a successful agency and make 10K a month, but they don't want to spend $30 a day. So we need to switch from a time limiter to spending capital to save time. That's how high-level business people think. So the reason this works is actually a concept from Naval, which there's a Naval book. It's Almanac Naval. It's a very good book if you want to read that. But what this is right here is a leverage pyramid. And it goes from low leverage right here to high leverage. And I've been using this for a year straight on how I think, but it's helped me tremendously. So low leverage is what we call labor. So this is hiring people to do things. Like I said, we have labor leverage, which is setters, VAs, cold callers, inbox managers. It's just humans doing something. It's not a software. It's not a YouTube video. Labor leverage is better than doing everything yourself, and it's great to do that after actually doing it yourself. It does have downsides, especially with scale. So as you hire more people, you have to manage more people. You have to hire someone to manage people. Also, you have to have complexity of numbers and the metrics you're tracking to see how each person is doing good. You have leadership skills, so you make sure that the 5 cold callers you have, which the job sucks that you have to manage them. People taking sick days and just unpredictability, right? So when you go up the leverage pyramid, the return on your time gets higher. Right. So the next thing is capital. Then there's code and media, which are tied. When you think about code and media, I'm uploading this YouTube video right here. And I always use this example, but I think it's really good to prove the point. If I was doing labor leverage when I'm talking about YouTube videos, I would hire someone to send a YouTube video 500 times. Just using an exaggerated example for you. If I was using code leverage, I'm doing exactly what I'm doing now. I'm uploading it once and sitting back and letting it do a thing. When we're running ads in general, it's these 3 right here. It's a bit of capital leverage, a bit of code, and a bit of media leverage, because obviously we can do video and photo ads, which is media. There's also code, which is Facebook, and there's also capital because we're paying Facebook. So it's the 3 top forms of leverage that we are using compared to labor, which is on the bottom. The time investment is significantly higher with those 3. So capital and code leverage are my favorite next steps when you're scaling an agency. And again, I use this all the time, literally making a YouTube video for you right now because I'm so obsessed with the high leverage activities and what to do with them. It's time independent, with your judgment being the amplifier rather than time. As an example, capital you're spending to amplify your judgment. Instead of pushing your offer manually in front of 500 people with a cold call, you think your offer is good and you pay for it to push it to people instead. You pay Facebook to push it to people. So your capital is an amplifier of your judgment. This is the way to think about advertising. This is the way to think about YouTube videos. As the years go forward, I've seen, and I've learned from people above me, your judgment is getting more important than anything else. So your leverage skill needs to improve. So that's everything when it comes to your own agency and why to switch from cold outreach and how to use the system. The second part, though, with your agency clients is when you have agency clients, making a 3 to 5x ROI in cash collected immediately after you get them a job or a deal or a gym membership, as an example. after paying you in their advertising spend, so your company and they pay Facebook, if you make a 3 to 5x ROI, they're not leaving. They're saying, if I pay Joe $1, he's making me 5 every single time I do it. What that is a self-liquidating funnel. It's saying we're making money immediately after people come in. If you can get your clients to make as much money upfront as possible from the services, and again, this can be done from improving the sales skills, it can be even sales rep in your agency, but when you're talking about service delivery stuff, helping them with sales training or getting them to pitch higher offers, let's say an annual membership instead of a monthly membership, so they get paid more, so they can stay with your agency longer, that's awesome. And since every agency client's primary aim is to simply make money and save time, when you achieve these fully, you also fund the next payment for your agency. If you do a self-liquidating funnel, you calculate all this stuff, the same thing I taught you for your own agency, but apply it to your clients, the average client retention also skyrockets for your agency. So the LTV we talked about earlier also skyrockets because you're making them money. Feedback loops everywhere with this type of stuff. So that's everything in terms of liquidating funnel. What I want you to do is, after watching this video, calculate your AOV, calculate your LTV, calculate your cost to acquire a customer if you're running ads. If you're not running ads right now and you are 3 to 6K a month and acquire a few clients first with cold outreach, you can switch this immediately and start testing it. When you do run this, these are the metrics you need to track. This is the spreadsheet you need to use, and you need to, most importantly, use this ratio right here, which is what is the order value day one versus what is the cost for a customer. If your order value is higher and it is a 2 to 1, it is a 5 to 1, you're in the clear and you need to reinvest all the money you make off the client back into the ads. So I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a little more high level, a little more complicated one. If you are below 0 to 5K a month or 5 to 10 even, I made 2 videos here. And it's very congruent with what we're talking about here. The number one thing is the paid ads advertising, inbound ads. This video is more high level. It's more about how to use the money from the ads, how to invest the money. This is actually how to run inbound paid ads for the agency with my exact ads. Secondly is my exact service delivery system for clients, the exact Facebook ads to use, exact type of video ads, photo ads, everything is in this one. So check those 2 out if you haven't already. One more reminder that everything in this video, everything in the Miro board is being put into my free school community. That's in the description and also in the pinned comment. So join that. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you later. Goodbye.